Popcorn Wine Down. I'm Tammy.
And I'm Eddie. Welcome back, pop stars. It's been a while. A lot has
A
happened.
long while.
Life is life. We were
Right.
gone for a mini hiatus and ended up a whole BTS military tour.
That's a great way of saying it. And the BTS military tour before they changed the law.
Yes. Like, it really was legitimately supposed to just be a mini hiatus to deal with
Mhm.
a lot of stuff at the previous day job. And then life just lifed. So, this episode is brought to you by Life. It will life. But I'm excited to kind of get back. I missed it. I did.
Oh, I did too. Because, this is one way that we continuously talked about, oh, what shows are we watching and what's going on around the world. So it's kind of like when we took a hiatus, we kind of took a hiatus from really talking about entertainment and media and, world news and stuff like that. So it was definitely more of an effect than we thought it was going to be when we first agreed to it.
Yeah. And it forced me to watch a lot of stuff I wouldn't normally watch, or
Hmm.
just to make sure that I didn't realize how much I got out of my head with the creativity.
I agree.
And since things have changed again, how much I kind of needed that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out and how it goes. And, some of the changes that we've talked about, I think I think it'll be fun. So I think so. I am looking forward to it. I am. Like I said, I knew that I missed it a little bit, but I don't think I really realized till we started talking about, okay, are we going to do this? How are we going to make it happen if we do this? So I'm looking forward to, getting our pod legs back up under us, I guess, rather than
We'll
our.
see how it goes. Definitely. Definitely.
Okay. So today, though, and it's fitting that this is going to be our first one because this was one of the first things that we reviewed way back when we started. So go back and check the archives. The Popcorn Wind Down site's still up. You can check our podcasting wherever you get your podcast. You can go back and from season 1. I can't remember the episode. I want to say is episode 1 or 2, but the Old Guard. And now we are doing the long-awaited sequel, the Old Guard
Number
2.
2.
Charlize Theron, Kiki Lane, Chiwetel Ejiofor, they all reprised their roles. Picks up exactly pretty much where Old Guard 1 left off. Andy is dealing with her her new humanity, being fully human, and the immortal team is still fighting the good fight with renewed vigor and passion. So. And we're introduced to some new characters. Henry Golding. I love that man.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
And then Uma Thurman plays Discord, the OG Immortal, the very first. And we finally get to meet Quinn. Pick up with Quinn at Booker's apartment, hunting down Andy. So that is where we start. And what did you think of this new chapter of the Old Guard?
So I will say, the one thing that I loved was it was Aeon Flux versus Kill Bill. I was like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, I didn't really it didn't fully click to me until the fight scene. And I was like, yo, she's fighting Kill Bill. This is a real, kick ass moment right now, because it's very rare, I think, nowadays that you see Uma Thurman in action movies. I don't remember the last time she's really done a true action film that I think was as huge and got as much attention as Kill Bill, of course, which was a huge deal when it came out. One of the best fighting movies that I've seen in my lifetime. And so overall, I think there were some good, there were some bad, not necessarily bad, but there were some blah kind of moments. But overall, I was entertained enough to watch it without feeling the need to pause or go do some other stuff. I actually focused on watching it straight through the whole entire movie without feeling the need to pause because I was getting bored or something like that. So it didn't give me the same exact feeling as the original, but I was still entertained enough. And I didn't realize that they were going to set it up for a third movie. People had talked about how it was supposed to be originally a 3-movie series kind of thing, but they had to see how well the first movie did, but how long it took them to come out with the second movie. I was just like, we're never going to see this. We're never going to see this. But now, overall, I liked it. But then, Charlize, that woman's kick ass. Definitely is.
Yeah, she's always kick ass. I love Charlize Theron, but I'm with you. I wanted to love it as much as I did the first one, but you know, you always kind of set yourself up for that letdown with the sequel. There are very few sequels that can live up to the hype unless you kind of reboot or reset, a la Bad Boys, because Bad Boys 2 had moments, but it's one that whenever I go back and watch the whole franchise, I can always skip over Bad Boys 2 and just pick up with 1, 3, and 4. Kind of the same with the Fast and the Furious franchise. I can watch the original, like number 1, and then I can skip all the way through to number 4 and then continue from there.
From there.
Tokyo Drift makes, even knowing what you know now, Tokyo Drift makes no sense. And 2
And
is
two was the only thing that came out of two was that you got Ludacris and Tyrese's characters that have been part of the franchise ever since. But other than that, it was kind of like, yeah, that also was like,
yeah. So I was prepared for the sequel letdown, but and like you said, some things that really worked, and I did love the action scenes, but and I love that they tried to make this one a little bit more personal with the stakes. You know how she was accepting her humanity, okay, and I think she was doing a good job. Like she had truly made peace with being human, but I also think you wasted a lot of potential great performances and story. As much as, like I said at the beginning, I loved Henry Golden. I love him. He's amazing. But his character was absolutely fucking useless. Like, the only purpose he served to me was just a way to say, okay, explain who Discord was, to explain who Na was, and to explain a plausible way for Andy to get her
immortality
back, but her immortality back. Like, I think I understand, and so it kind of leads me to think did some of his character get, or his scenes get cut, because other than that, it seemed forced. Like you could have found other ways to kind of put that in there. And I was also disappointed with the big story of Andy and Quinn. The ambiguity of who they are to each other, it was played out. Like, go ahead and say, are they lifelong lovers like Nikki and Joe? Like, is Quinn Andy's Nikki, or is Quinn Andy's Joe? Is that who they are to each other, or are they literally BFFs since they're immortal? Like, are they best friends forever, ever, ever? So in the first movie, the ambiguity was okay because, her character was more of a background or seen through flashbacks. You knew she was someone who really, really mattered to Andy. She was the first immortal that she found, and they were friends, or they traveled the world together for 3,000 years before she died or whatever. So, but now in the second one, okay, it's like, well, what were they actually like? Just go ahead and spill it out. If they were lovers, I'm fine with that. It's great. But the way they, and I think it would have raised some of the stakes, and you would have understood some of because at times Quinn came across as like childish. Like you understood why she was upset, but then it just came across as her being a child throwing a temper tantrum after a while. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I think it would have made more sense if you would have just spelled out more clearly what their actual relationship was. So I was a little disappointed in that. What about you? I mean, I love the relationship and I get it, but I think if they would have been more...
I think that, in Hollywood now, and, the way that certain aspects of society is going, it's, in the first movie, I agree with you that it was very ambiguous and it was okay. Like it was never fully spelled out on exactly the relationship that they had, and that was absolutely fine. And it is true, it's because she was a background character, so you knew that she was very, very important to Andy, but we didn't have to know the full details. But when she's now a main character within the second movie, and y'all are still going on that ambiguity and being like, you want us to, because they want us to think that they were probably in a relationship, but they don't want to cross the line and actually show that, right? And I think it is to not offend, certain people or, audience, because they already have Nikki and Joe. So it's kind of like, we already have Nikki and Joe, we can't do it over here. Like, you can only have one. Remember, you can only have the token. So we already got the token with Nikki and Joe. They've been together for centuries. They started out together. They've been in love for like centuries. So that's the token, gay relationship, as they would call it, right? Like, they checked that box. And it's kind of like, ooh, you going too far if you make Andy and Quinn also, the counter of what Joe and Nikki is, and you make them the lesbian couple, or you show that they were actually, they loved each other, not just like, oh, I love you like you my BFF, but they loved each other. And because I think that if they had shown them actually being in a relationship, it would have shown them the betrayal would have been deeper. It would have been a deeper betrayal if they had shown them in a relationship than them just being best friends. Like the betrayal of best friend, yeah, that's deep. But to the betrayal of the person that you knew you were going to spend the rest of your life with, who promised that they would come and find you and they didn't, like that's just deep. Like that's just on another level. And I think they really missed the ball with that. They missed, a different aspect of the movie, and they missed the opportunity for us to want Andy to be with Quinn, to find her, for them to work it out. Like towards the end of the movie, I could fucking care less if Andy and Quinn like met it, because when you said that she was acting a little bit like a child, I thought she was very, very naive, because I was like, when she said, when Discord asked her, like, what do you want? What do you want? I will give you what you want. And she says, I want to destroy them. And she was just like, we will. And she was like, no, I want to destroy everybody. And I said, hold on now, shorty. Why everybody up in this? Okay? Because the Europeans is the one that did that to you. Like, hold on now. Don't come over here to the other parts of the world trying to take us out. Okay? Don't do that now. And because I felt that was very naive of her. Like, yes, they locked you down, but I'm sorry, in today's world, what person do you know who wouldn't go after the society that destroyed them? Like, you don't go after every society. You're going after the society that destroyed you. So how you end up in Asia? Why are you at a nuclear plant in Asia if the Asians ain't the ones who threw you to the bottom of the ocean? Like I was so confused in that. Like, why are you going after the Chinese? Why are you in Indonesia?
I guess
Why are y'all in Korea? Like, it didn't make sense. And one more thing, I am not a fan of, what is his name? Henry Gold?
Henry Gold.
I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he can act. I think that he was at the height when Crazy Rich Asians came out, right? Yeah. And now I look at him and I'm just like, I agree, he was a waste of space, but I think it's also partly on, I don't think he can act. I don't think he's that charismatic. I don't think that he has a actual presence, because even if you were like a lesser, like, kind of character or something, like you would still have a presence, and he didn't have that. I think that is the wrong actor, and he's been trying for a long time to kind of get back the momentum that he had when Crazy Rich Asians came out, and I think that he's lost his moment. I think that his moment is gone. That's just my opinion. I think his moment is gone, and people have moved on from the Henry Gold, like, hype that he had. He never, capitalized on that, and I think that that's gone. So now you're getting these 2-bit roles, and they're a waste of, a character that could have been more than what it was.
Well, I agree with the momentum part. I think he's a better actor than he gets credit for in some of the movies. Like Snake Eyes, I think that was probably, with it not being a success, I think that kind of dimmed his star a little bit. And
right, yeah.
But as far as this goes, I just think the character was a waste, because everything Tua did, I don't even remember the character's name, because once I figured out how to say his name, I have to say it every time. Chiwetel Ejiofor. And remember, I think Chiwetel Ejiofor, the black dude,
still on Tua. I was about to say, wait, what was Tua's name? But okay, yeah.
Because I think it was a whole, and going back, see, my I'm getting my podcast brain back. I'm going back. It was an episode of the Popcorn Wind Down where I learned how to say his name, and I went and practiced Chiwetel Ejiofor. So I think, since he was the CIA guy and the research guy, I think Tua's role, everything Tua told them, he could have discovered. Because
I agree.
Speaking of waste of space, you wasted a phenomenal. And if you tell me Chiwetel Ejiofor cannot act, I will jump through here and throat punch you. Okay.
Phenomenal actor. Phenomenal. Okay. I think he was wasted. His talent was wasted in the movie. But then here's my thing. The movie also wasn't about like that true like talent, like I can act kind of movie. Like that's not what the old guard is. And to have like Oscar nominees and also an Oscar winner in the movie, but he can act down. I ain't got nothing negative to say about that man.
Okay. But see, even in the first movie, he wasn't wasted. He was a big part. So for him to be a
Yes.
part of the team, and like I said, the research guy, like he's the one who
And
put
he was
together
kicking
the
ass. He was kicking ass himself
yeah,
as well.
and to be the one who put together the story of the
Mhm.
immortals and figure it out in the first one, he could have figured. Like I'm saying,
He could have figured out the Nile thing and how Nile
yeah.
is ultimately the destroyer of
So
immortality.
like I said, I like him. You know, we have differing opinions about Henry Golding, but I do agree his character was a waste of space, and everything his character did in this movie
Hmm.
could have been passed off to Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, which I think since he's already in the movie, you wouldn't have had to create someone new, someone that ultimately we don't end up really caring about. And it would have served the same purpose and given him more to do. Does that make sense?
No, no, I definitely agree. And I think here's my thought process is if they come out with the third movie, which I hope they do. I mean, it's currently now in the top 10 on Netflix. So there is a level of success that it's already had since it premiered on July 2nd. But ultimately, I look at it as in you're the one that needs to sacrifice your immortality for Quinn. Like, give Quinn your immortality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
have now cut you, Tua.
Yeah.
Have now cut you, okay? And then you willingly give your immortality over to Quinn because it is true. You are a wasted character. And so being that they didn't necessarily need you because Copley could have been the one to, figure all of that out about how Quinn's the one that ultimately takes your immortality away and how you're able to like just give it up. Copley could have discovered that. And so, seeing as how Copley could have discovered that, I'm like, give up your immortality for Quinn because Quinn had more of a role, and we know because of the first movie, we know the importance of Quinn. And so, knowing the importance of Quinn to Andy as well as to the group as a whole, because of Nikki and Joe who knew Quinn. So, being the connection that she ultimately has to the group compared to Tua, like, yeah, give up your immortality for a character that actually matters.
Yeah. And speaking of Niall and her importance, like you knew she was going to be big
Hmm.
in the first one, like you knew it was something. And I think they did a great job of explaining how Andy lost her immortality, tying it back to because you wondered in the first movie, like what happened? Is it because she kind of stopped caring? She thought that they didn't make a difference, so maybe she started taking it for granted. So it's one of those things that if you take it for granted or whatever, you start to lose it.
Hmm.
So I think in this movie, they did a great job of explaining how she lost it. But I also think that they wasted potential with Nile and what we learned about her for her being probably the second most powerful immortal next to Discord, the OG one. I would have loved to see it start off with her being Andy grooming her to be the leader since she knows that she's not. She knows that, and they all know she's special. They just don't know quite what it is about her. So I think I would have loved for her to see her being more than just the pit bull baby bodyguard who wasn't really needed or wanted. Because it's like Andy was like, I can do it myself, and she's just like, well, you can die, I can't, so I'm coming with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So I mean, I loved when we got to see her in action. I just think they could have done a better job of showing us. And maybe that'll be the third movie, is now that it's becoming known what she can do. Maybe once she has that true conversation with Discord, we will get to see more of her in her stepping into her power or
Hmm.
stepping into who she's supposed to be. But I don't know. I was just a little disappointed with some of the threads they left hanging or the way they told that story or how she was kind of underutilized, I guess, in the sense that, I don't know. I just thought that was another dangling thread that was not, they could have done more with in this. Not to give away the whole story, but they could have done more with her showing like a little bit more of what she can do or just how dangerous of a weapon she is since Discord needs her. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe because she's alive, it's the thing. Like maybe because she's alive and she's the last. That's how Discord lost her immortality when she was discovered. Like you can't have the alpha and the omega at the same time, so one of them has to die for the
Right.
other to live. So maybe that's where they're going with the third one. But I don't know. I just think The story had a lot of potential. I just think there was a lot of missed opportunities. I will say, I won't say wasted, but I'll say a lot of missed opportunities that they had to make us care a little bit more about Quinn and her being reunited with Andy. Like you said, the betrayal would have hit bigger. And they didn't even have to have them being lovers, show them being lovers today. There could have been a scene where where they just said point blank, this is who they were to each other, and you could have shown a scene or something like that. Because I get it, after 1,500 years of being apart, there's no way you're going to pick up where you left off. Her anger at being left in the ocean for that long was justified, but you've got to understand. So that's what I'm saying. It gets to a point where, yes, we understand why you're hurt, okay, but now you're acting like a fucking child. Like, like you see the world she's living in. She's trying to tell you, you see the good that they've done. You see what they've done. Like, grow the fuck up. Like, so I'm like, if this is how you act, I would have left your ass in the ocean too. Probably try to throw you back up in the ocean. Probably try to throw you back up in there. So, I mean, I think it was just a lot of little, like, missed opportunities with the story to make us care about certain things. Like you said, if Tua served a bigger purpose, or maybe he will in a third movie, like, it will give us a reason to care about him and be like, okay, they could have turned you over to Copley, aka Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm never gonna stop saying his name. It took me years to figure out how to fucking say it, so every time I get a chance to say it, Chiwetel Ejiofor, okay? But so that's just where I am with it. Yeah.
I think that with Nile is still a baby. She's still learning. She's still figuring it out. And at the end of the day, even with Andy being mortal, she's still the leader. They still follow her, because you even look at like how, strong or how capable and not Andy, Nikki and Joe are. Like, very, very capable, Nikki and Joe, and they were kind of sidelined as well, right? And so the focus was on how Andy was going to get her immortality back, and the fact that Nile is the one who took it from her, and she plays a major role in how she's going to get it back, right? Like by, Booker giving it back to her once he gets injured, and he gives it to her willingly. And so I think that the role that she played was significant on she's still learning. So even as they understand, like, oh, she is one of the most powerful immortals, you still a baby. You still don't know how this works. You don't know how, like, we've been doing this for a long time. You still figuring this out. So I'm gonna need you to be on the side. That's the reason why they had her in the boat. Okay, I'm gonna need you to be in the side. You come in when we really need you to come in. Okay, because I was looking at it as like, so you got the two immortals who are gonna be in the car doing the chase, right? And then you got the two mortal people who are the ones in the house shooting it up and beating up people. And then you got Nile chilling on the boat, telling them what to do. I was just like, what? But then I kind of like got it, because her entry into that fight scene at the very, very beginning, it played very well. I think the entry scene for Nile coming in and like, breaking into that window and was really, really good, as well as the ending scene with, Discord and Andy, and kind of seeing how the difference is. The entry of these characters and their power. I think that Nile still needs to learn. She still needs to figure it out. And she still has this idea that, well, I'm immortal, so I can do anything. And Andy's kind of like, no, you can't, just because you're immortal. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. We've learned, and going from there. But yeah, but overall, I think there were some disappointments, but I'm not surprised about the certain disappointments that we had with the second movie. And I'm just looking forward to the third movie. I hope they don't take as long for the third movie as they did for the second movie, to see how they're going to end this series. Like, how is it going to ultimately, come about?
Yeah, I hope we get Victoria Mahoney directed this movie, and she did a great job. I think just because of everything, how long it took, Gina Prince Bythewood wasn't available, probably doing Forever and some of her other projects. But and Victoria Mahoney, shout out. Always gonna give shout out to the sisters, I think she did a really good job. Not to compare apples and oranges and try to pit women against each other, but
what's another movie that she's done?
This was her first breakout, like big thing.
Gotcha.
But one of my favorite, and just giving shout out to the directors and all that. One of my favorite scenes was the scene where Andy was walking through the square in Italy to get to
And this changing of the scenes.
And
Yeah.
at first I'm like, is this the same movie? What the fuck happened? Like when it went to the seven. And so I loved how it changed through the time and how
Mhm.
she was like walking through time to get back to that spot. Like directorially, I thought that was just like chef's kiss, so some of those moments. But yeah, I agree. I hope they have the third. I do love Booker's sacrifice because, and I think that was great.
Mhm.
He had to be the one to give it to Andy because we knew from the first one that he wanted to be mortal again. That was his whole reason for signing up and betraying them, just to shot it back out, because he wanted to. He was the one who wanted to become mortal. So
That's
he
true.
found a way to become mortal again, aka die.
And to help
That's what he
Andy.
wanted, and to help Andy to make his penance. So I do appreciate that he was the one to give her. He gave her the gift that he didn't want any longer. So I appreciate that sacrifice. But yeah, having said that, I do hope there is a third. And I'm with you. I was entertained enough to, by the end, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to see the third one because I need to know how it ends. I need to
And
see the next chapter. So there was talk. Victoria Mahoney has said that she probably will not direct the next one. So I don't know who's going to direct the next one. But I'm
never
with you.
happened to franchise directors, yo.
Yeah, I
Like
think
directors coming back and like directing the franchises. Ugh.
Well, see, I think Gina Prince Blythewood was the plan. It just took so fucking long,
Gotcha.
And like she had other projects and stuff. So I think when you have directors attached, I think the longer it takes to get something made, they go off and do other stuff. Cause
That's true.
I looked this up. Like I'm like, cause I went back and just because I love the movie, I rewatched the original a couple of months ago, and I look back. I'm like, when are they coming out with number two? And even then, it didn't say anything about number two, so I didn't know there was
It was
number
like
two.
a real quick announcement, and then it was
Yeah,
like a
and
month
so
or two later, it was coming out, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool."
yeah, so it was a surprise thing, but I really loved. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but I did like it enough to recommend, and I really hope that the third one they go out with a real bang, like they tie up a lot of those loose ends, and that the story is more cohesive. I guess
True.
that makes more sense. So, you got anything else before we?
No, let's rate this. What are we rating it?
What you got? How many popcorns?
Hey, so out of 5 popcorns, I am going to rate it a solid 3.25. I was very entertained. I didn't even look back to see exactly what I rated Old Guard, but I know that I loved it enough that it was probably one of the highest rated movies that we did.
It wasn't a
Uh,
Mulan.
huh?
It wasn't.
Everything's back.
Look,
But
Mulan is like our Scaramucci.
yeah, goodness. Yeah, so I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna be solid on it. I'm gonna rate it a full 3 popcorns, which is not bad. I think there were some things, like we said, there were some waste of characters and some scenes that I was like, eh. But overall, I liked it enough that I'm excited about the third one. What about you, Eddie? What are you gonna rate it?
I'm gonna go up from my original rating, and I think we've switched roles. I'm giving it a 2.75 popcorns. I tripped.
Ooh.
So I got to the movies, or
You almost lost half of the bucket.
yeah, no, like so since it's on Netflix and we watching it at home, I popped my popcorn, have the good popcorn, the real
Yeah.
popcorn that you put in a little microwave popper, and then the microwave goes out, so I don't even get all my popcorn, like it just goes
You only
out.
got enough for half a bag.
And then so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna savor this, and I've been looking for it so long. And I get on the couch, and on my way, I trip and I spill the rest of my popcorn. And then I'm just like, what's up? And so I'm like, okay, but the movie's gonna be worth it. I'll eat these Pringles over here. I want
It's
a
gonna be
popcorn.
worth it.
And I'm watching it, and I'm like, damn it. And so nothing can come back and quell that original disappointment. So I'm giving it 2.75 popcorns.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
It pained me to do so. Like I said, I went up on that as our conversation. Sometimes we
Happen,
do that.
which happens a lot when we like talk about it. It's kind of like, oh, okay, like you pointing out some good points. Okay.
But yeah, so 2.75 popcorns. I am looking forward to the third one. I would recommend it. I think sometimes my movie brain was just on, and I think I was just really really looking forward to this, and with the actors, the cast, and everything, I was just expecting more from the story, especially given Charlize is an EP. But yeah, so I was mainly not the action or anything, I was just mainly disappointed in the story, so I hope the story gets better.
Okay. Cool.
And at this point, point, we would normally tell you guys what's coming up next. But like I said, we've changed the format a little bit. The reviewing is going to be more of like our rewind news was. We're going to do that more sporadically as it comes up with things. Check us out. The website is still up, being revamped. So we will have our TikTok. This will be on Wind Down TV on the YouTube. That's what they're called. That's what the kids are calling it these days, the YouTube, or is that the boomers?
I am neither, okay? I am neither.
But, so just because of everything that is going on, we figured that the rewind would probably be more prescient, where we talk about news and review, of course, entertainment news, all the news, everything that's just going on in culture, pop culture. So our rewind episodes will be the main focus of this newly revamped Popcorn Wind Down. And as we go through, we will be reviewing different things. So you might see me on a review. You might just see Tammy. You might see both of us. She was telling me about this excellent book she's reading.
Stop it. No.
But
we'll not be reviewing that book.
But this has been fun. I've enjoyed it. Like I said, going into this, I kind of forgot how much, and we were a little scared that we wouldn't remember. But I think it all. Some things are
We're coming back. We're coming back.
Yeah, it's like riding a bicycle. You don't forget. So that will do it for this episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Look, did you see when BTS came back? They had their first full 7. I know. I still love BTS. But so they couldn't remember their intro. They were like, how do we do our intro? And now I'm just like, how do we do our sign off? So some things you do forget. Okay.
I don't remember, but I guess we're going to have to kind of check out some previous ones, but I guess we'll just say bye and, talk to y'all next time.
Until, now, and see, I have to be more aware of my facial since the video is also new. My lovely background. Okay, so here you go. 3, 2, 1.
Deuce. Bye.
Stop.